In today's ever-evolving business landscape, adaptability is no longer just a competitive edge, it's a necessity. Companies face shifting customer demands, technological advancements, and unforeseen disruptions at an unprecedented pace. That's why purposeful pivots, intentional, data-driven changes in business direction are becoming crucial for not just surviving, but thriving. But before any pivot, the groundwork must be laid. That groundwork is research, meticulously investigating the market and identifying the right fit for your next move. Purposeful pivots are not decisions made on a whim. They're deliberate, strategic adjustments shaped by robust research, customer insights, and emerging opportunities. So, how does a business leader or entrepreneur approach this challenge? How do successful organizations turn uncertainty into an opportunity by adjusting their offerings or market focus? It all starts with recognizing when a pivot might be necessary. Some signals are unmissable. Perhaps revenues are declining. Maybe customer feedback points to emerging needs or dissatisfaction. Technology trends can disrupt an entire industry seemingly overnight. Or perhaps, through organic growth, you've stumbled into a new customer segment with more potential than your current focus. These signals aren't setbacks, they're invitations to adapt. The first step in any purposeful pivot is research, comprehensive, objective, and ongoing. Start by gathering data about your current position. Evaluate your product or service's performance in the existing market. What's working? What isn't? Interview key customers, not just about what they buy, but why and how their needs are evolving. Analyze feedback to identify pain points, friction, and desires your competitors might be overlooking. Next, look outward. Deep dive into market research, turning a critical eye to data vendors, public reports, and industry news. Scrutinize consumer trends, economic forecasts, and shifts in regulatory environments. Which sectors are growing and which are shrinking? What's causing those shifts? Are there underserved customer segments whose needs overlap with your strengths? Competitive analysis forms the backbone of this stage. Map out your key competitors, not just the obvious ones, but any emerging players who might be talking to your next potential customer. What are they offering? Where are they succeeding, and where are they falling short? What gaps are left unaddressed in the market? In the era of big data, organizations have never had more tools at their disposal. Utilize analytics platforms to track website traffic, bounce rates, and customer journeys. Social listening tools can provide real-time sentiment analysis about your brand and your competition. Surveys, focus groups, and user testing offer qualitative insight, granting depth behind the numbers. With this research in hand, it's time to piece together a picture of the market. This is all about finding the intersection between market need and organizational capability. Ask, given what you've learned, where are the opportunities for growth? Could your company, with its resources and expertise, meet an urgent demand more effectively than current players? Or perhaps you spot an adjacent market, a related niche, that aligns with your mission and offers more long-term potential. At this stage, it helps to use frameworks. The SWOT analysis, looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, can clarify your internal and external environment. The business model canvas is a tool for visualizing how you'll deliver, capture, and create new value. By mapping your current business model against what the market research has uncovered, you start to see where a pivot might lead. But identifying the right fit isn't only about numbers and charts. It's also a creative, intuition-driven process. The most successful pivots often arise from seeing what others miss, spotting promising patterns, experimenting in small ways, and iterating. For example, Instagram famously started as a check-in app called Bourbon, but its founders noticed users gravitated toward the photo-sharing function. Their pivot, focusing exclusively on photos, turned a modest offering into a household name. Consider Slack. Originally a gaming company, its founders observed that the internal chat tool they built for their own team was in higher demand than the games themselves. By shifting to become a communication platform, Slack tapped into an exploding need for remote collaboration, years before it became standard. These stories illustrate a crucial point. Successful pivots are rooted in empathy. By deeply understanding what customers are trying to achieve and the obstacles standing in their way, organizations can uncover opportunities missed by a more cursory glance. Sometimes the most valuable new direction is revealed not by asking what's possible, but by asking what's missing. What are people struggling with, and what role could your company play in addressing that? Of course, not every idea uncovered through research is worth pursuing. The next step is to validate and narrow your options. This is where experimentation comes in. Before overhauling your entire business, create small-scale prototypes or pilot projects. Launch a minimum viable product to test your assumptions. Gather feedback, assess traction, and measure impact in real-world conditions. For instance, if your research suggests customers are frustrated with current delivery times, test a new logistics partner in just one city. If surveys reveal enthusiasm for a new feature, build a simple version and offer it to a test segment. Use data from these experiments to refine your ideas and weed out those that aren't resonating. During validation, it's vital to keep your focus on the fit. Product-market fit, where your solution meets a real need and customers are willing to pay for it, isn't a static target. It requires continual listening and the humility to pivot again if results don't match your expectations. At each step, bring your team along for the journey. Share research findings and encourage open, creative dialogue. Diverse perspectives lead to better ideas and help avoid blind spots. It's far easier to execute a pivot when the people implementing it understand the why behind every decision. Another factor that distinguishes a purposeful pivot from a desperate one is clarity of vision. Your company's mission, culture, and core values form the foundation for any new direction. Even as you adapt your product or market, ensure that your pivot aligns with your overarching purpose. Customers can sense when a change is opportunistic versus authentic. When Instagram shifted from bourbon to a pure photo-sharing platform, it stayed focused on helping people share and connect visually. Slack's pivot from gaming to business communication was also rooted in its underlying commitment to better teamwork and transparency. Ultimately, identifying the right fit is about finding a win-win, an opportunity where you can deliver compelling value to the market, leveraging your unique strengths. It means being willing to evolve the how while holding fast to the why. Sometimes that involves leaving behind what's comfortable, but doing so thoughtfully, with eyes wide open, armed with insight, and driven by a genuine desire to solve real problems. Industry leaders across sectors have shown that a purposeful pivot, executed with discipline and creativity, can differentiate a company for years to come. Take Netflix, for example. Originally a mail-order DVD rental firm, Netflix saw the looming shift to digital streaming and invested early, well before mainstream adoption. Their research showed not just a coming technological change, but an appetite among customers for greater convenience and choice. By pivoting their business model to digital streaming and later investing in original content, Netflix didn't just survive the transition, they shaped a new media paradigm. In contrast, companies that resist change or base critical decisions on gut feelings alone often find themselves left behind. Blockbuster clung too long to late fees and physical storefronts, despite mounting evidence that consumer preferences were changing. Their failure to research, test, and adapt left them vulnerable to more agile competitors. For entrepreneurs and organizations contemplating a pivot, the process is far from linear. But some core principles hold true. Stay relentlessly curious. Don't settle for surface-level data. Immerse yourself in customer experiences, competitor strategies, and the nitty-gritty of industry trends. The best opportunities often hide beneath the obvious. Embrace agility. Be willing to test, learn, and iterate as you go. Even the most well-researched hypotheses can miss the mark in practice. Communicate openly. Bring stakeholders into the process early. Their insights, concerns, and buy-in will make or break your new direction. Uphold your core purpose. Let your mission guide which pivots make sense, those that deepen your relationship with your audience and build on your authentic strengths. Measure progress relentlessly. Set clear milestones and key performance indicators to track whether your new direction is working. Be ready to make further adjustments as insight deepens. A purposeful pivot isn't about chasing trends or panicking in the face of adversity. It's about building enduring value by aligning with the real, changing needs of the market. It's about being proactive, not reactive, using data, empathy, and creativity to reimagine what your organization can be. As you set out to research the market and identify the right fit for your own pivot, remember, the future belongs to the prepared and the adaptable. Every challenge brings its own opportunities. Those who do the hard work of listening, learning, and evolving will be the architects of tomorrow's success stories. The question is not if you will need to pivot, but when and how purposefully you will do it.